Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle as to strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
Comrade Joe Ajaero, the president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, finally honored police invitation yesterday, as he had promised last week. We understand it was accompanied by a handful of people, including some leaders of the labor unions, of course, with their affiliates in the country. Then, of course, as is always the case, senior lawyer Femi Falana, SAN, was also there with him. Human rights lawyer Deji Adeyanju was there, and Maxwell Okbara, another human rights lawyer, was also there. And then, of course, everybody was just curious as to how it was going to turn out. We understand he showed up at about past 10 and left just minutes after 11. So it was a session that took more than an hour thereabouts yesterday. Of course, as we know, he wasn't detained, neither was he charged. News says he was only given sheets to fill out responses to questions that he was asked. And his lawyers, or at least those lawyers that accompanied him, said that the issues around allegations bordering on sponsorship of terrorism didn't even pop up during the interaction they had with law enforcement, the police yesterday. So you're wondering, what exactly was the entire hula baloo about this whole thing about? But then we're going to find out this morning. We have joining us live via Zoom from Yola, Adamawa State, northeast Nigeria, a lawyer and a public affairs commentator, Sunday Wogira. Thank you for coming on Global Morning today.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Good morning, viewers.
Okay. I'm not sure you have met my colleague, Jumai Manson. She's also interested in this conversation. So together, we will be engaging you for the next couple of minutes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to have you on the program.
Morning. Thank you. The pleasure is mine.
Let's begin with the genesis of this case. When, first of all, the NSA president was invited, the police in that formal invite sounded very reserved as to what they wanted to achieve with the whole process. He was given about 24 hours to report, and there was also the subtle threat of saying, if you do not report as stated in these invites, you will be leaving us no other option than to obtain an arrest warrant against you. But of course, the man asked for an extension, which was eventually something that happened just yesterday. When you sit and look at this whole last 1 week and all of the drama we have seen, what's your take on it?
Well, I am looking at all this from a different perspective. Different perspective in the sense that over time, labor leaders have been under intense pressure from governments that are anti-people, so to say. However, as much as we want to blame the government for some of these things, we have to also accept the fact that Mr. Ajaero also have his own share of the blame. One, if you look at the timing of this allegation and then what eventually unfolded, because now the federal government, I learned, paid salaries, and the minimum wage has not reflected, and no worker is talking about that anymore. Perhaps it would have to come in September when another drama does not unfold. So by and large, it is part of the government's crooked way to take away the minds of Nigerians from germane issues to mundane issues.
Joe Ajaero now is telling us that the labor movement is worth dying for. And then he made reference to as far back as 1988, when even these same issues, confrontation between government and the labor, has always been there. Is this Joe Ajaero dying for labor, or he's just expected to carry his own cross, which is something personal to him?
Well, as the leader of the labor union, it is incumbent on him to be the first sacrificial lamb. Yes, labor is worth dying for, but I think you have to live to fight a fight and not just die stupidly. All these issues, I think Joe Ajaero was not tactful in a way. He has not been tactful. And the unfortunate thing in all these things is that the Nigeria police is playing with a smoldering fire that at the end of the day will end up burning it, because as a responsible law enforcement agency, you are not supposed to politicize, for whatever reason, the issue of national and international security, and play this reprehensible role for political gains. And I think the Nigerian police is not doing itself any good by not looking its principal into his eyes and telling him that no, sir, we cannot play this role because it is going to count on us or against us. Government comes and goes, but the Nigeria police remains, and it has an integrity to protect. It has a name to defend. By all means, they must not allow themselves to be used or misused by anyone. So I think the Nigeria police need to also address itself and refrain from political issues. And this is not just the Nigeria police at the center, the Nigeria police everywhere. We have issues where a policeman will even arrest criminals and release the real criminals and substitute innocent ones for the real ones. And at the end of the day, they will just invite the press, show people, video people with guns and arms and whatever, and at the end of the day, the case dies out. You don't get to hear anything anymore. I think this calls to question a lot of things. The Nigeria police and all other security agencies needs to take time to do some reflective thinking and assessment. Are we on the right course? Taking into cognizance, by the time all the civilians are done with, these criminals will descend on you with your uniforms, with your arms, with every support that you have from the government. And by the time you are done, it is those in government that will be next. When they are done with you, it is those that are in government that will be next. So everyone must put on his thinking cap. We are playing so much with a lot of issues, politicizing a lot of security issues that nobody should go to sleep on. And I think the time has come now for us to ask ourselves, is this what we want as a people? Is this what we want as a nation?
Allegations on terrorism by the NLC president, do you think it's a form of distraction by the federal government to the NLC president and, of course, the labor union as a whole?
As far as I'm concerned, it is a distraction. When you are alleging terrorism financing, you don't go to the press against someone. You don't go to the press to even publish his letter of invitation. You when you have your facts, you take him head on. You don't even have to wait until he prepares, because you have the facts. You just go and arrest him pronto. And you have to establish, here in Nigeria, we arrest before we even start investigating. I wonder how we do our things sincerely, with all sense of humility and responsibility. I think the Nigeria police as an institution needs to retrain itself. You go for arrest when you have all the facts. when you have established a prima facie case against someone following an intensive investigation. That is how it is done in a Senate climb. But here, they want to arrest you because they are alleging that you have committed an offense that you have to come and purge yourself. Huh? It is not done like this anywhere, save in Nigeria. So, as far as I'm concerned, the invitation of Joe Ajaero by the police on the charges of terrorism financing was just a distraction. It was proven, that was proven yesterday, because you don't invite someone who you are alleging to be financing terrorism and you just come and spend an hour and take tea and banters and leave.
That's another question, Barrister Sunday. Now, looking at this critically now, this terrorism financing, it's a personal issue between Joe Ajaero and, of course, being someone in the police station. Now, why is it that he wants the labor union to go on this strike in the 36 states? I don't understand the correlation in that. Can you just enlighten on that a little bit?
Well, there is no correlation really, because as a labor leader, I don't think he was invited because he was or he's been the president of NLC, if truly he is financing terrorism. Unless, of course, they are saying that he is doing that in his capacity as the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress and then on behalf of the Labour Congress. You see, the challenge we are having is that we find it very difficult to distinguish or make a distinction between the person and the office. You know, these are, yes, they are two faces of the same coin, but they are distinct. Joe Ajaero as an individual, you know, if he does acts that breaches the law, not as or on behalf of the Nigeria Labour Congress, he should be treated as such, and the Nigeria Labour Congress must resist every attempt to personalize, to officialize the whole issue, to make it look like it is a labor problem. If the president of the Nigeria Labour Congress as an individual would be involved in terrorism financing, he should deal with it as an individual. And the Nigeria Labour Congress must have nothing to do with it. If it is established that truly there are issues involving remotely or closely or however, by whatever means, associating him with terrorism financing, he should step aside and somebody should come in. He should go and purge himself, and when he comes clean, he should step back and take over. I think the Nigeria Labour Congress must not allow this issue to become something that will eventually make the labor union lose its face, and every one of the unionists being seen as accomplices. They must be very careful. I'm sure they have their lawyers, they have consummate administrators, security experts that will guide them appropriately, and that is my own advice. It must not be related with labor in any way. However, if this persecution is to distract him as an individual, being an arrowhead of labor, to demean the Nigeria Labour Congress, to distract the Nigeria Labour Congress, to decimate the Nigeria Labour Congress, the Nigeria Labour Congress and all well-meaning Nigerians must rise up to the occasion and resist this reprehensible act and repressive actions by the government through the police.
Right. Let's talk about one of the other elements in this development, which is about the police saying that a tenant at the labor headquarters had been suspected to be either a terrorist or to be sponsoring or abetting terrorists and what have you. How much of sense does that particular strand now make, given what we know today? Because if you say you found a tenant who is suspected by law enforcement to be sponsoring insurgency or banditry or any form of criminality against the Nigerian state, and then you are arresting or inviting Ajero in that regard. So should we not be asking questions about these tenants?
Well, I think that is why it is said that there is no perfect crime. The Nigerian police itself is shooting itself in its leg, by coming by way of this argument. It doesn't hold water, and it makes them look an organization that is not really serious or experienced or in the know of what it does. However, no matter how intelligent you are, no matter how experienced you are, once in your course of operation, the issue of dishonesty and lies comes in, you get entangled and you entrap yourself eventually. If assuming but not conceding, a tenant in the labor house is involved in terrorism financing, is he doing that financing at the behest of the Nigeria Labour Congress? Is it in their knowledge or to their knowledge? Do they know and still condone his being there and refusing to report to the security agencies as responsible citizens ought to and should? These are some of the questions we need to ask, and the Nigerian police is not forthcoming with information. And they may think that they are holding the aces to their chest, but I think it is doing so much damage to their reputation and integrity. Is this person in their custody? Has he been arrested? What is his statement? Are there other accomplices? What organization is he funding? And stuff like that. I think Nigerians deserve to know the truth of this matter. And this is not something that should be swept under the carpet by all means. And I urge the Nigeria Labour Congress now this allegation to slide because we are fond of doing that. After the storm, every calm everywhere becomes calm, and that is the end of the story, end of discussion. I think the Nigeria Labour Congress should help Nigerians put the police on their toes now, sincerely.
All right. While we are working on putting the police on their toes, we are obviously not sure how soon that will happen. Let's look at what constitutes terrorism financing, because this is not the first time. For the most part of the life of the 8-year tenure of former President Muhammadu Buhari, we kept hearing about people who were said or alleged to be funding terror. We had even been told by former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice at that time, Abubakar Malami SAN, that some of them had even been arrested. In fact, at some point, we're talking about trial for these people. What constitutes terror financing beyond just putting money in it? That's number one question. The second question is, at this point in time, even if you say the goal of this invitation by the police is to distract Ajero and the leadership of the organized labor in Nigeria, how much of that impacts the fact that 70,000 naira minimum wage has been agreed and we're now talking about implementation? Two questions in one, quickly.
Well, terrorism financing is not just about, by the law, it's not just about putting money to in aid of terrorists or terrorism. It goes beyond that. Even moral support is terrorism financing. Aiding and abetting is terrorism financing. Providing logistics is terrorism financing. It is not just about financial or physical financial transaction. It goes beyond that. And that is why I said this time around, the Nigeria Labour Congress must not go to sleep on this issue of allegation of terrorism financing. I think the federal government is oblivious of the consequential and concomitant damage that such allegations does to its image and its resolve to fight terrorism. Just like you said, in the last 8 years, the Buhari administration played politics with terrorism financing. It worked on the psyche of Nigerians, and it helped use that to entrench itself, rightly or wrongly. because you cannot say that you have 400 people that are financing terrorism from the internet as provided by the international community in the intelligence cycles around the world, and then not a single person has been convicted. There should be no secrecy about this issue. Trials must be done in the public so that to serve as deterrent and so that people will get to know this and this and this truly are involved in terrorism financing. It serves as deterrence, because when you see someone being put to trial and convicted eventually for financing terrorism, it puts you on your toes, and you will not want to be associated with such if truly there is something like that. That is the essence. And now, for 8 years, there has been no one conviction. There has been no one sentencing, and it is just a mere allegation. No one is even in the know of who are these financiers. Now it has come to Joe Ajero. And it may just be another Tales by Moonlight again. So we must sit up. On the second issue of 70,000 minimum wage, yes, it has been agreed. Yes, it has been signed into law by the president. Yes, it ought to be implemented in the month of August. But workers in the federal government workers received their salaries, I was made to understand, for the month of August without the 70,000 minimum wage reflecting. And that is to tell you something. Government does not intend to pay this 70,000 minimum wage, and the only way to go about it is to create fear, distract the Nigeria Labour Congress that usually would make the noise and bring down workers to a conclusive stand against the government, until the 70,000 minimum wage is implemented. And government cannot afford to have another wave of protest against it. So I am of the opinion that this is something that is aforetought to ensure that Nigerians are distracted. And Nigerians are having a forgetful mind, so to say. Unfortunately, after all these things, nobody will talk about the 70,000 minimum wage until maybe next year. And government will have its way. However,
right, let's wrap it up. We have final notes now. Ajero has, like we said, honored this invitation, and he spent no more than 1 hour with the police. Does that mean there is closure to this matter now?
Well, I can't say conclusively that there is a closure. It could just be, you see, the police and the government, they have their ways. Now, they know that they have achieved something. Joe Ajero reported to the police. It is established that he took himself to the police. They interfaced and they asked him to go. I am sure they have given him another date to report back. So it is going to be a continuous thing until perhaps the whole thing pipes down. And if workers does not react about the minimum wage, they are busy talking about the terrorism financing and whatever, good for them. They have gotten their way. I think the Nigerian Labour Congress must also go back to the drawing board. The progress and success of the labor union or the labor movement must not be based or surrounded or shouldered by just one individual. Assuming Joe Ajero drops dead today, is that the end of the Nigeria Labour Congress? Certainly no. Somebody should step in. And I think they should now ask Joe Ajero to step aside, and someone in the next line of command should take over and confront the federal government on these germane issues. And like I said earlier, if you could remember, I said the Nigerian Labour Congress is not being fair to Nigerians because all they think and they think is the beginning and the end of life is salary increment. Now, salary has been increased. Yes, the minimum wage is 70,000. They are yet to even take the 70,000, but things have skyrocketed in the market. What I expected the Nigerian Labour Congress is to put the federal government on its toes to revamp the economy, to take charge of certain things, to make certain agencies work so that price control will be effective. And even if the minimum wage is implemented, the civil servant will feel the benefit of this wage increment. But now, the wage increment will just turn into ashes in the mouth of every worker. And at the end of the day, those that are not working, those that are not earning any living wage or even wage at all, would have to suffer the brunt much more than the civil servant that has assiduously demanded, agitated, and worked for a minimum wage that at the end of the day becomes a minimum burden.
All right, Barrister Sunday, I have a question to ask. Speaking about price control and the 1 month by the federal government to traders, I was speaking with Uyi this morning, and I said, it doesn't start with the traders. We have a lot that needs to be put in place first before price control can kickstart. We're dealing with removal of fuel subsidy, we're dealing with the hike in electricity tariff, we're dealing with unemployment, and we're also dealing with these manufacturers because it's a chain. We start with manufacturers, then the wholesalers, retailers, before it comes down to the consumers. Do you think this price control, just chipping it a bit, is it visible? Looking at it critically, starting with the traders, really? Isn't it? It starts with the upper class before it gets down to the traders. Don't you think so?
As always, the federal government takes Nigerians for granted, and they have every reason to take Nigerians for granted because we are a people that allow anything goes. Let me tell you, on Tuesday, I bought fuel in Mubi at 1,020 naira per liter in the filling station. 1,020 naira. And the federal government could not even control the price of its product, and they want other people to control their own prices. It is not possible. It is not. Talk is cheap, and that it just goes. That is the end of it. The 1 month that the agency is talking about, the agency of the federal government is talking about to control prices, will take eternity to enforce. In fact, they do not have the capacity. They are just talking, and nobody should take this thing serious. There would be no price control anywhere because that is not how to control prices. What are the modalities? And who are you referring to? Retailers? Wholesalers? Do you expect me to buy goods at 20 naira and go and sell at 10 naira or 19 naira? It is not possible. Exactly. You have to address the issue of manufacturing. You have to address the price at source, exactly. And the cost of transportation and so many other issues. We talk as if we are headless people. That is my pain.
Now, Barrister, I want to ask another question. Let us look at this present administration, for instance, and all the efforts in which it has tried to make when it comes to now. Many individuals will hear traders should review their prices within 1 month, and most Nigerians will be happy about it, not understanding the implication in which it entails. Now, let's look at the efforts this administration is trying to make. Some of these efforts, are there steps in the right direction, or in your own opinion, how do you view these efforts of this particular administration?
Well, the government is very good at one thing. What the pronouncements they make, they know that it will be pleasing to Nigerians, just like addicts of cocaine. You feel high at the moment you are taking the cocaine, but it is destroying your life eventually.
Okay.
That is exactly what the federal government is doing day in, day out. And Nigerians are like movie goers. You go to movies, you see fantasies, and you feel it is real until you come back home and realize that your life has not changed. In fact, it has deteriorated. That is exactly the situation. And Nigerians are just a sorry people, very unfortunate people. With all our education, with all our exposures, with everything, we have a dead heart, we have a dead mind, we are not incisive, we don't think deeply, we don't take action, and government has taken that with all sense of responsibility,
But
and
Barrister
that is what
Sunday,
it is
I'm really sorry to
giving us.
interject, but you know, you're talking about we Nigerians, we do not take action. We try to take action. Individuals came out 1st of August to 10th of August. They tried to take action to end bad governance, but still, we're still in the same position. At least there was a starting point. Don't you think we're trying as much as possible to make that effort?
Well, I think those people that came out to protest against bad governance and ending bad governance, they may have genuine intention, but I think they got it the wrong way. How many people came out? Most of these people that came out with all sense of responsibility are trading post agents, to my mind. They were not doing it for Nigeria. They were not doing it for Nigerians. They were doing it for themselves. You were busy dancing and singing the whole day. Who is providing you food if truly you're hungry? They were like in Yola here, those that demonstrated for the 10 days, they were dancing at the police runabout, at the new flyover, Great Interchange. They were dancing, buying fuel, eating from morning to evening. Who is paying them? You know, if truly you are hungry, you are still dancing with your hunger for 10 days. You are buying fuel to fuel your generator to play music. You brought in musical sets at a fee, I am sure. So you were just dancing, and you had all the energy to dance all day with hunger. Is that how to end bad government? And most of them are children that could just be used for a fee. And you see some other people also came out in support of the government of the day. So that is to tell you that these are trading post agents. They are not people that are truly and genuinely desiring for change and struggling for change. I don't believe so. That is my own opinion anyway. I may be wrong.
Of course, Barrister Sunday. I know he's looking at me. Barrister Sunday, now, the Nigeria in which we found ourselves, if youths do not come out to demonstrate, if we do not come out to protest or cause something out there just to create that attention to the government, do you think needs will be met? What other way do you think the youths can pass on this message? Now, I don't want to deviate. Now, let's look at these doctors, for instance. I know we're talking about Jero, but all of these are all connected in one way or the other. Now, let us look at these doctors who have decided to go on strike concerning their colleague who has been held in captivity for 9 months. Now, if we sit back, don't you think this is the only way we can get a message, youths can get their message passed to the government for effective change? How else do you think they can go about it?
We have to accept the fact that Nigeria is not in good shape. And yes, demonstrations, protests, and whatever are part of ways and means of drawing the attention of a government that is responsible. When a government is responsible and people are protesting and demonstrating, they listen. But when a government is insensitive, protest all you can, demonstrate all you can, you will have your say, they will have their way. So Nigerians must sit down, and this is like a cancer, that chemotherapy alone will not cure. So we have to amputate. And how do we amputate? So long as Nigerians take 1 naira from a candidate that is contesting for an election, they should be rest assured that they will pay the hard way. So long as Nigerians vote on the premise of religion and ethnic sentiments, they will have to pay. So long as Nigerians vote on the premise of instincts and not genuine, valid, verifiable capacity and competence of a candidate, irrespective of his money. And even if he has all the money in the world, they will not ask him to use his money. They will contribute personally. They will sacrifice and forfeit their lunches. They will sacrifice and forfeit their breakfast. They will sacrifice and forfeit their supper to make sure that they support and donate for the cause of the candidates on the party they feel and believe this man should come and rule or represent. So long as that is not done, we should forget about good governance. We should embrace the hardship we are going through now and just make up our minds that our lot will never be better, but it will be worse every day because we also contributed to this cancerous disease that is eating us up today. In fact, we are responsible for that. In what climate would you want that is supposed to support someone that will go and represent you in government, will collect money, spaghetti, rice, and whatever? These are the issues. Unless Nigerians vote
this is where we have to
credibility.
Call it off now. But I just want to chip in something. But let's not forget, at the end of it, there is always light at the end of the tunnel. It might be dark now, but there is a light, and we know that by the grace of God,
the light may come in 2027.
Let's just be positive.
When we get it right,
so
when we refuse to take
Sunday
money.
Being a part of Thank you so much for being a part of Global Morning.
Thank you very much.
Participating in the first discuss of the day. Thank you for your well of experience, and we really appreciate you, Barrister Sunday. Thank you for being a part of the
program. It is my pleasure. I'm
you.
Most grateful. Thank
you. Thank you. All right, now hope you enjoyed that that segment of our discuss this morning. Let's quickly go on a very quick break. We'll be back shortly. Global Morning continues. Stay tuned.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofribe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofribe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.